everybody, thanks for joining in. We are the NAMP Mobility team and we are here today to talk about the Stator scooter. Hopefully you guys got a chance to go and watch that 2-minute video that we produced for you. Some awesome ride footage. My name is Amanda McKee. I am the Director of Channel Development and New Business, and we have with us today the entirety of the team. So Rob, would you care to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon. Rob Brady. I am the CEO and Design Director for Rob Brady Design.
Blake?
Unmuting here, having fun. All right, so Blake Fuller, and my role with the team is to be able to be the person who gets to ride the Stator and get everybody really excited about how fun it is, but also to help develop it in a way that makes it perfect for what you want.
And then our fearless leader, Tom, would you mind introducing yourself?
I sure would. I'm Tom Wittenschlager, but I'm not fearless. I'm just a big enthusiast of this product. And, you know, obviously I'm kind of the guy that worries the most about all the technical details and all the programmatic details. So we're going to produce the best scooter that's ever been produced. And so we're looking forward to getting you guys really enthusiastic about it once you get to see it.
And joining us by audio is our Chief Mechanical Engineer, Joel. Joel, would you mind giving us a brief introduction?
Sure. My name's Joel Chartier. I'm currently heading up the mechanical design and engineering on the Stator.
So to get us kind of started, I'd like to go over a couple quick housekeeping rules. First, if you ask us a question that you want us to answer, I will go through and I'll like your question. So if I look a little bit distracted because I'm looking at my other monitor, be sure that if I like it, it's going to get answered. Sometimes Facebook does block certain comments. If that's the case and you have a question that has not been answered, send an emoji with it and Facebook should pick it up then. It's only going to be about 30 minutes today, but we just kind of wanted to give you guys a brief run through. I'm going to start it off with a couple of questions that have been really asked quite often. And Tom, I'm going to direct these to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the shipping dates and when we expect to see some of that shipping happen?
You bet. You know, right now, I think all of us, through no fault of our own, are finding ourselves in a circumstance where there's not a whole lot of certainty in the supply chain. So while we are doing everything we can to take all the risk out of the program, the reality is that today there are still uncertainties in a great many dimensions, both in the supply chain and in the distribution chain. So as soon as we know, as soon as we have a little more clarity on what is in the realm of the possible, we'll of course inform everybody. But today, regrettably, we don't have a ton of clarity on getting that stuff out for those obvious reasons.
So actually, I think that answered Laszlo's question. He actually just asked if we could share what impact the pandemic will have on shipping. So that's, again, that's one of the prime questions that we've had. Another one of the prime questions that we've had is what's it like going through the design process? Rob, I was hoping you could answer that one.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. You know, we were fans of the Stator when it first came out, and we're just thrilled to be able to be part of the Stator group today that's bringing it to market. So one of our missions was to try to keep as authentic to the original design ethos as is possible. I think we've done a very good job of that. We've had a tremendous amount of performance, stability, security elements into it, but you know, it really captures the original essence, and so we're thrilled with that. But we're also surrounded by really, really talented people. You met Joel earlier, he's one of the senior mechanical engineers at Rob Brady. We also have a team of phenomenal electrical and software designers at the company BGM Engineering, and that with all the prototyping and our partners around the globe, really, to make this thing happen. It's coming together very, very quickly, and we're very, very pleased with the results. And as a fellow industrial designer, both the original designer, Nathan Allen, and myself went to the same school at the Art Center. So we're of like mind in aiming towards keeping a sharp eye on the aesthetic and the proportions, and the things that made Stator so magical in the beginning are really those that are going to hit the market in the not too distant future.
Great, thank you so much. One of the other really big questions that we've been getting asked here has been, Tom, for you, what's it like running a startup? Can you talk about some of the triumphs and successes that you've had, as well as some of the things that have been a little bit difficult to handle?
Well, startups are really, really exciting because, you know, as you go through developing something that's brand new and developing something that's radically different from what exists today, you know, you run into things that you hadn't expected. You discover things that really please you. I mean, running a startup's super cool, and you know, we're very fortunate to be part of the NantWorks family. You know, our leader in that family is probably the greatest physician scientist in the world. He's a genius, and he's a visionary. So, you know, being part of this team is exciting. It's super cool. And as Rob said, I mean, what we're trying to do is take the very best of the aesthetics and combine it with an absolutely exciting performance vehicle. So the combination of beauty and performance, which, as all of us know in life, is sometimes kind of rare.
Thank you so much for that. We have a question here from Spencer. Spencer asked for Rob. Rob, building on what you said, for people who have been following the Stator scooter since it was in a design concept, can you share a bit about the journey from its original concept to production ready? Is the original designer still involved? What changes were necessary? And then Tom, if you wouldn't mind weighing in a little bit too.
There's a couple of questions there. Let's see if I can remember which ones about the journey. You know, I think when Nathan, the original designer, was here in the very beginning, he handed off the product to us, and we talked a lot about the things that he felt were important about the program. And with any product that goes to market, and Roe Brady does that every day, all day long with a lot of different products, this one being unique because we wanted to stay true to the original concept. And I think we have. You know, I couldn't put my thumb on any one part where I couldn't write a dissertation of the things that we've analyzed, from the materials, the manufacturing processes, optimizing the product for security, performance, stability, and things like that. You know, all those things take a little bit of time, but we've got an amazing team to be able to put all that together. Even the user experience, the instrumentation on this is going to be fantastic. It's going to have a quick go mode to it. It's got the oversized wheels. It's got the big tubular frame. All those things that we didn't want to lose, we worked very, very hard to make sure we stayed true to the original design. As I said, I think we're very, very close to it. And as a designer and a design team here, we're really happy with where we've arrived at this point.
Tom, would you care to weigh in a little bit too?
Well, you know, just to add to what Rob said, you know, there's a basic principle at play here, and that basic principle is anything is easy if you're not the person doing it. And so this was a project of infinite details, from the details of the compounding on the tires, the details of how many windings the motor had to have, the details of how the battery pack gets built, you know, all the things that you don't even think about, but all of which drive this experience that will create a ride that's exciting and fast and smooth and goes over bumps like they're not even there. So from that point of view, I think what was really cool about this project was taking a design aesthetic that was inspired and then doing an inspired job of engineering it so it's perfect. And those two put together create something that's very, very neat.
Thank you guys so much. It looks like everybody's appreciating those answers. Another quick question. This is really another big topic that we've been seeing. Tom, this will be for you. International shipping. This one is requesting in France, but I know that we've had a lot of global interest. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, you know, earlier the question was, you know, what's it like being a startup, and what are the things you face? And look, we have put unbelievable energy into creating a platform that is a one of a kind. I mean, nobody has a scooter like this, period. There is no comparison. And when you're doing that, there's a whole other dimension of distribution and how you get it out there, how you get it certified. You know, the fact that the rules in Germany are different from the rules in Italy, or different from the rules in the United States. And so when you get started, you kind of have to pick your poison. And the poison we picked was to create the best scooter in the world. Now, what comes next is we're going to figure out how to get it to the world, but not till we're done creating this thing. So it's coming, but we're doing this in a very workmanlike way so that, you know, over time, I think our customers will actually be more pleased because of the way we did it. We'll produce a better product.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. The next question is going to kind of volley off of everybody because we all have our opinions here. This is again from Laszlo. Any thoughts on raising the top speed beyond 30 miles an hour? So Joel, if you wouldn't mind starting and giving us kind of the mechanical overview on that, on the feasibility of going over 30 miles an hour. And then we'll kind of go around to everybody and answer your question, Laszlo.
Well, from my standpoint, I would say, although it might be fun, it might be a little bit scary, and people are going to do it somehow. But, you know, Blake is probably, as our chief test rider, would have a lot more to say about that. Personally, 30 is pretty good. It feels nice. If you want to go faster, let's see what Blake has to say about it.
All right, Blake, what do you think?
Permission for takeoff. Let's see. I kind of think when it comes to the speed goals, for me, it's design something that can attain a much higher threshold and engineer it so it's able to do something well beyond what is stated or what the marketing literature says. Design it for speeds well in excess, and then allow the market and the regulations to really set that, because we have to keep in mind that whether it's the motor power, the battery size, or even just country regulations that limit the speeds of certain electric mobility, that's a difficult question to answer and pinpoint. But the reality is all of us are driving for a performance scooter that is able to not only do the 30 miles an hour, but to attain that easily in a variety of conditions. And I have to say, going 30 is awesome. And it's great on this vehicle because it's so much smoother over a lot of what are the imperfect roads that we live in. Not all of us have perfectly smooth roads. And that's a big limitation for a lot of the competitors in the market that rely on suspension to overcome very, very diminutive sized tires that are very hard. So it's a completely different riding experience. And I know Joel may be able to speak to the chassis and engineering there, but there's a lot of thought that's gone into making a comfortable but yet secure ride, which is something that I can feel as the rider.
Rob, what about you? What do you think?
Well, speaking as a product designer in the room, whatever speed we choose, I want to do it very, very well. Cannot say enough about the wheels. I mean, these things are huge. 18 inch wheels. They go over everything. You go over curbs and onto the grass and off road, and it's an absolute blast. So while high speed is of interest, it's not the only thing that's interesting about this scooter. You can have a lot of fun at different speeds. But I think what's also important is the way Tom has kind of set up the mantra here at the studio is that we're creating a platform. And I think over the years, you'll see different types of technology that we're working on other products. And we know are out in the marketplace embedded into this product. So it's going to be something that evolves and becomes even more and more exciting as time goes on. So we look at this thing as a platform. We're going to strike a line at 30 for now, I believe, and do it very, very well and securely. And we'll see what the market comes back with regards to that. But I think it's going to be a really unique experience to travel 30 miles an hour, up to 30 on wheels like this, and in a very secure fashion.
All right, I'm going to just briefly give my answer. I have a very heavy motorsports background. And a lot of people really get hung up on going on the dyno and getting their numbers and seeing what their curve looks like. But they forget about the experience and what it's like to get there. I think that's my favorite part. When I get on a bike and I tuck in and I get on that throttle and that bike pulls me into it, that's the experience that I'm looking for. That's what gives me the smile. So that's what we're looking for. 30 miles an hour is a lot faster than a lot of people are giving it credit for, especially when you're not surrounded by windows and windshields and doors. So as much as it might seem like only 30, give it a chance. I think a lot of you guys that are out there riding some scooters right now, you're going to be wowed by it, and it's going to be a lot of fun for you. It's been a lot of fun for us to ride and play around on. Tom?
So the way everybody said it is exactly right. You know, our goal is to create a really safe vehicle that is super fun. And so a way to think about it is anytime you do anything on an electric vehicle and you're speccing things like batteries and motors and things like that, you kind of have to decide what's more important to you. You know, the torque on the low end or the speed on the high end. And they're both exhilarating. You know, getting some yank out of the hole is a lot of fun, and having a real swift high end is equally fun, but you don't get both. You kind of have to pick your poison. Now, what we're building is a very competent motor vehicle that is safe and smooth and predictable and not scary if you do something stupid, because all of us do something stupid. That's what makes it fun. So over time, however, I think it's worth mentioning that the vehicle has different modes, and there is an eco mode, and there's a sport mode, and then there's a mode called X for extreme. And at some point, a competent rider will want to make some modifications like all of us do on our motorcycles. And when you make those modifications, you get out of it what you put into it. But at that point, you know, it's a choice you make, not a choice we as manufacturers make. We're gonna produce a balanced, safe, exhilarating vehicle. And then if speed is your thing, have at it. If torque is your thing, have at it. And we'll leave it at that.
So a follow-up to that question is from Scott. What are we seeing as far as speeds before we govern it and regulate it? Blake, I think that you've had some incredible ride footage that we've not chosen to openly share, but do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm gonna not give a specific answer, but I'm gonna put it this way. I have been a professional race car driver for more than 20 years, and I can tell you that whether it's a Porsche, a Corvette, a BMW, a Honda Civic, there's always headroom that Tom speaks about that can be extracted from that chassis or that vehicle. And as I refer to those different vehicles, each of you will know that sometimes there's different levels of extra work the owner has to do to get that extra performance out of it. The entire team has done a great job in selecting components, and part of my role as well is to push that type of performance aspect. Having designed the batteries for IndyCar and for Formula One, I have a certain expectation of what I think a vehicle that I'm piloting should have a future capability of. And so I can clearly say that 30 miles an hour is definitely not the limit of what it's capable to do. It can definitely do more. But again, the reality is that there are vehicles that can do something once and fail, and there are things that can do it once over and keep doing it, you know, over and over again. And that's, I think, really the mantra here is to try to keep it very reliable.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I know it's not the specific answer they want. They want a number. But guess what?
Like I said,
stay tuned. Stay tuned.
It's easy to get hung up on a number. The experience is what makes it that much more fun. Laszlo also asked, do we have any updated specs that we're willing to share at this point in time? Rob and Tom, I'll give that to you too.
Well, with Tom at the helm, why don't we start there? And I don't want to speak third.
Well, look, you know, the team has been very modest in their accomplishment. I mean, the reality is that we have updated every piece of this vehicle from the compounding on the tires to the kind of wheels we put on to draw air through for thermal management. That's a whole nother discussion on, you know, you talk about performance, but you got to control the thermals so that you stay reliable. Nothing's fun if it breaks, right? But all the way to the battery pack, to the motor, to the frame. I mean, the frame has gone through a few geometry changes to make it more rideable, to get it over speed bumps without even thinking about it. I mean, this has been an unbelievable litany of details, and they've all been focused on producing the best performance. So I'll go over to Rob. I don't think there's a piece on this vehicle that has not been, re-engineered, remodeled, retested to make sure it's the best it can be. And what do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I think we start off with a fantastic design, but to go to production with something that's reliable and will do these speeds and others, we really started off again kind of like with a white sheet of paper to make sure that we were all the checks and the balances were done throughout the entire product. There's a tremendous amount of features that we've talked about and some that we're going to be talking more about as time goes on. But over and all, the goal is Tom set us off on a mission to make the best scooter in the world. We're starting off with an amazing design. So it's just in our job, in our wheelhouse to deliver on those things. And honestly, can't wait till we can get more people onto the product and you'll see what we're talking about.
So the next question is going to kind of consolidate a few of the questions that have come on here. And this is really going to be up to Rob in the design studio. It would mean Rob turns off his virtual background and maybe shows the Stator as it sits. People were asking for updated shots. We can only see the wheels there. Some updated shots.
Goodness.
As well as some accessories. And I happen to know something might be on the handlebar that has been as yet not talked about.
Talking about our RAM mount?
I sure am.
So this is an accessory piece that we have. You don't have to have this, but if you'd like to, it's a matter of taking these two bolts off, and then you put this piece on. And from here, it's a whole wealth of opportunities for phones and all kinds of different types of accessories. And it's right where you want it. This is a close-up view of the instrumentation. This is one of the original missions where we did not want to lose this tubular feel that you see here. And we've worked really hard. We've got some amazing things going on underneath here for us to be able to embed this instrumentation in here without seeing anything outside of the lines of the product. So we're very, very happy with that. It's gone through a lot of testing, and we've got, as you can see here, maybe a little bit more of the details. We've got our instrument, our fuel level, our battery level here. MPH up here will be KPH. We've got a whole series of different types of things that are here. We've got our light, so we can turn on our headlight. This will be a single solo light, but you can see, in keeping with the rest of the design, we've really tried to make it look clean, super clean with everything else, and keep that tube as naked and as close to the original design as is possible. And,
hey, Rob, while you're showing it, Anthony Scalia, and forgive me if I just butchered your last name. Anthony would like to know about a key fob or anything that would add security features to the scooter.
Well, that's one of the neat things about this product right here is it's part of the quick get up and go kind of aspect to it. So you'll power it on here with the power switch, and then once that's on, you hit the switch right here, which is the enable switch, and this is just part of our security for the product. Now, if I have a fob with me on my person within about 24 to 30 inches of the product, it's immediately ready to go with power. The nice thing is I could pull up somewhere, I hit the enable button here, and now that I've hit it and I walk away, the scooter is ready to go, but it actually won't go. The throttle won't actually react or do anything like that until I come back and I hit my enable button. So it'll be instantaneous. And if my fob is ready, boom, I'm out of here. If I'm at the beach, I forgot my fob, I don't know where my fob went, there's another opportunity over here where we can enter in the data, and now we're ready to go here, much like you see with cell phones and things like that. But the ability to get up and go quickly was something that we all saw in the original design. We wanted to make sure that was part of our product. And as Ro Brady does a lot of electric vehicles, a lot of HMIs, human machine interfaces, graphic user interfaces, and things like that. There's a certain amount of user interface that we want to make sure is embedded into the product. And we've always had, you know, a two-step start just to be safe with an electric vehicle. Obviously, you're not going to hear any engine or anything like that starting up. So we've embedded that into this product, and we think it'll be a nice feature for people who are using this thing to stop and go and do different things and want to not have to boot up the scooter every time.
Thank you so much for that. To kind of piggyback off of that one more time, we were asked about the self-balancing feature that has now been changed because of the crowned wheels that allow for leaning. Can you speak to the kickstand on that and some of the changes that we made and why? And Tom, if you wouldn't mind following up.
You bet. Yeah. I mean, the tires are absolutely amazing. And from a performance standpoint, you're really going to be thrilled with these. These are also, I took this one off just so I could show it a little bit closer. This is a carbon fiber fender that we'll have on the scooter as well. Our kickstand is very low profile. See if I can do this. So it's here. You'll kick it out. It'll come down here. And obviously I'm on a stand, so it doesn't do the same justice. But it's a very simple piece, much like you'd typically expect. Comes back up and it's out of the way. Wheels are phenomenal. We've got an onboard charger right here. Wherever you go, you can charge up and keep on going. But the tires are a great, great story. Tom, you want to talk about those a little bit?
Hey, you bet. So when we started, the self-balancing feature of the scooter originally was that the tires were flat. Now, you know, as Amanda pointed out, and obviously as Blake has, and you know, almost everybody on this team has raced, and most of us have raced two-wheeled vehicles. And so if you race a class like Unlimited Superbike, you notice that the wheels and the crown of the wheels is remarkably similar to the crown of the wheel here. And the reason for that is that two-wheeled vehicles do not turn by steering, they turn by leaning or counter steering. And so we wanted to create something that drove amazingly and that would take your input and just react. So for that reason, these wheels are crowned just like you would see the rear wheel on a Ducati XDiavel or on any other superbike. They're compounded the same. So you have a wheel here, a wheel and a tire that has the kind of stick and grip and performance that you would expect on a superbike. And that's what we were after. Now, in order to get that, you need a continuous crown because that's how two-wheel vehicles turn. So in order to have it stand up by itself, we just added a small inconspicuous kickstand, which we thought was a fantastic trade-off for having this level of riding performance. It's all about riding performance. It doesn't matter how pretty it looks sitting still. It matters how it feels riding. And so that's what we kind of optimized. I hope that answers your question.
I think it's going to lead perfectly into the next question. Blake, I'm going to give it to you and then I'll take it after you because I think, well, actually, I'll give it to Joel too. I think the three of us have spent quite some time doing, shall we call it, adverse conditions on this unit. Was wondering how it felt going through different terrain. So up a hill, off road, through things that maybe we probably should have waited till a little bit later to do. Can you talk a little bit about your experience, Blake?
Yeah, and actually I do want to continue with what both you and Tom were talking about and the tires, and back to the top speed. It's one thing to have a vehicle that can go quickly in a straight line. It's way better to have a vehicle that can go quickly around a corner. And so this is a vehicle that can actually handle at its top speed, not just go straight and scare the crap out of you. This is something that literally, one of my challenges is to get the chicken strips off those tires as quickly as possible. And it really can lean over. And that's also been part of the design subtleties, is making sure that there's good angle clearance and that it actually feels nicely balanced. One thing we haven't talked about is that the front rear weight distribution is being honed to be near 50-50. This is a vehicle that is not made up of I think what we can have a part count of maybe 2 or 3 off the shelf parts versus thousands of custom engineered components to all come together in a beautiful handling machine. So the other benefit of not having the flat tires is also better rolling resistance. So we're going to get better range. You're also going to get more predictable handling in different weather conditions and different terrains. When you have a flat tire as originally intended, while it was an amazing concept and is very valid in certain circumstances, for something that you can use every day, that you can rely on across a lot of different type of weather conditions that just, they happen. I mean, in Florida here, it could be sunny and 2 minutes later, you got a torrential downpour, right? So that's something that has to be engineered. And yeah, it's something we're continuing to validate and to test. And what's great is that the multiple test vehicles that we have allow us to test different configurations and setups. And I'm going to stop myself there because I could just keep going on about how much fun it is.
Joel, would you mind following up on that and just kind of tell us a little bit about your riding experience as far as up a hill and some adverse conditions?
Yeah, the main difference between the wheels and tires we have on there now versus the flat is the ability to transition from one surface to another. With the flat tire, it's fine going straight and level and smooth, and it's fine going through the grass or in gravel or something like that. But that transition between was a little bit scary every time. With these tires, you almost don't think about it. You need to think about it, from a safety standpoint, but it's super smooth. So going from a street into a driveway or from the street into the grass, no problem. Big difference from the flat tires. And I think anybody can appreciate that because you don't always, you're not always 100% conscious of that, and you don't want to be caught off guard. So these things ride fantastic.
So
hill climbing, no problem. We don't have hills in Florida, so I'm not gonna go too far into that. But what few we have and what little we have, it goes right up. So I'm looking forward to taking it where it can be tested. But yeah, it's a great ride.
On one of my trips down to Florida to do some test riding, first I'll speak on the flat tires. Tom sent me out on the flat tires, and I think I was a little bit more danger excited than these guys were, and I washed out. It was a very quick action too, so we made that decision where flat tires were just not going to be appropriate. If I can wash them out on my first try, we didn't want to see that happen to anybody else. On the next time that we went down there to actually do ride testing on the new wheels and tires, I had a little bit of fun, and I have a lot of off-road background, so of course I had to go off-road. I took it through pine straw, and if you're on the West Coast or you're not otherwise familiar with pine straw, it's very, very slippery. It did amazingly. I couldn't believe it. I weaved in and out of trees, and I was having a lot of fun. The couple of man-made hills that were there, I took it right up the man-made hills and right back down, and it performed flawlessly. I actually was having so much fun that one of the project manager actually, she told me that I had to get off and be a good girl and not do anything else. The fact that you could just give it a little bit of a push left and it would respond immediately is something that motorcyclists are used to. And people that are riding scooters currently, they don't really get that. In fact, if you have to do that on a scooter that's out there right now, brace yourself. And I hope you have a first aid kit handy. It can get a little bit ugly. I am happy to say that I have not wiped out on one of these, despite the fact that I may or may not have raced somebody else on another scooter. And it has continued to perform. They're laughing because they know it. And it's continued to perform flawlessly, no matter what terrain I put it on. There was a park that was in Florida that did have a man-made hill that went up to like a walking bridge. It was pretty steep, and I noticed somewhat of a power drop, but it never got to the point where I needed to put my foot down and push the scooter along. It continued under its own propulsion with no problems, and I was very confident in it. We are being asked to extend time. It's 4:36. This is kind of be up to you guys if we can go to 4:45. If that's good, just give me a thumbs up, guys. Cool, great. So some of the other questions here. The original design had a seat concept along with racks. I know that we talked briefly about the self-fit accessory, but can we talk a little bit about the racks and maybe even the boards? I don't know if there's the ability for somebody to run and grab some of the custom boards that we are working on.
Well, I can speak to it from a design standpoint that it's an absolute future accessory. We're just like we've rethought a lot about in this initial design, just what a basic scooter should be in order to make the best scooter possible. We're doing the same thing with the seating. There's a number of different options that we're pursuing and experimenting with, and same with racks and storage. All those things are forthcoming and are an absolute that we're going to want to have on this Stator, but we're also going to want to make sure it's Stator worthy and a part of the overall design message. So we look forward to being able to show those off as soon as they're ready.
On top of that, I'd like to add that we are also pursuing some other goals with some digitally driven accessories. So a connectable app is in consideration, and we've actually been in consideration with some GPS products as well. So we are listening to what you guys are saying, and we do understand how key technology does play a role in this overall. We are listening, and we are hearing exactly what you guys say, and we are definitely working towards all of that. Tom, do you want to weigh in a little bit?
Yeah, I think, hey, look, this is the launch edition. And the thing that was most important to us was the performance of the scooter. And it had to be stable, it had to be comfortable, and most of all, it had to be a blast. Now, all the stuff we're talking about now is in the category typically of parts, garments, and accessories, or PG&A. And there's going to be a flood of PG&A for this product. It's just we've put all our energy into making it a blast to ride, which is no small task. I do want to mention one thing, and there was a question about seat. And the thing you have to remember too is that when you put a seat on a motor vehicle, the rules change versus if it's a stand-up scooter. So that's a whole nother category that we're thinking through and looking at and understanding what the total system impact of adding a seat is. And as soon as we have figured all that out for each locale in the United States and for various locales all over the world, then we'll give you a sneak peek at what we're going to build. But for now, what we've established is a really awesome vehicle, rides great, is a lot of fun, and of course Amanda's going to lead the whole parts, garments, and accessories activity, which is going to add a multitude of options to this.
Lastly, I just want to add on that we are cognizant that everybody does want accessories and customization options. We have quite a few things slated and planned, but it's also important to us that we make sure that we have parts for replacement readily available. Obviously, the wheels and tires, they're ours. You know, they're not something that you can just go out and buy. So it's important to us that we have kind of a balance between the parts and the accessories for you to make sure that you can continue to maintain your unit. God forbid something happens. We want to make sure that you're 100% as well as look cool and feel good doing it. Question for Joel and for Blake. The battery pack, what are the kilowatt hours? Are the motors rated at 500 watts, continuous or peak? Joel, if you want to start and kind of get your thoughts on that, and then Blake, if you wouldn't mind following up.
Well, this actually is Blake's expertise, so I'm going to defer to him.
It's all good. So I'll watch Tom's expression and see if I'm giving away too much of the special sauce. But I will. I'm going to answer those two questions. One specifically, and that is that the battery pack will be the north side of 1 kilowatt hour, and it most likely will be the south side of 2 kilowatt hour. We are finishing out exactly what that spec will be, back to the compromise of ride, handling, weight, and range. And so each of those happens because batteries are still a pretty heavy stored energy component, as great as they are. So that's the battery side. 500 watt continuous, let's just put it this way, it's way more than that. Is that good enough, Tom? Am I clear on that answer? It's able to sustain way more than that.
It's on mute. It's yeah, that's a great answer. And you know, I think a lot of folks, and look, we're a bunch of us are engineers, so we get hung up on these individual specs, but the individual specs aren't what matters. What matters is the total system from a system engineering point of view. So it's a matter of what is a motor capable of? What is the battery pack capable of? What kind of traction do these tires, what kind of grip do they embody? How does, you know, it's a systems question. So while I think all of us appreciate the fact that the questions about the motor and the battery and all that are of great interest, I promise you there's nobody on this team that hasn't thought about optimizing acceleration, top end, total range. I mean, we work on that every single day. And so the individual specs don't necessarily give you a total picture until you've experienced the totality of it. I just leave it at that.
And can I say something freely here? I have to compliment Tom because I've done a lot of professional development and driving and riding for tire companies, suspension companies, OEMs, and this team thinks like a professional race team. They think like a professional group that wants to win, not, oh, what's the bottom line? You know, how is this going to affect just the monetary side? This is a team that is focused on delivering the best vehicle. And that's really exciting for me because as I provide feedback, it's listened to, it's allowed it to improve. And it's one of those things that, you know, yeah, there is a weight because of all the things that are going on, but it's going to be worth the wait. So sorry, Tom, I had to speak freely on that and compliment because it's been great working with you.
Well, no, I mean, look, we have an extraordinary team. I mean, you know, when you look at the way Amanda pushed us on performance, and Amanda knows how to push, and you look at how we've pushed ourselves on technical specs, and we've pushed ourselves on making sure the thermals are good, and at the aggregate, we took exactly what Rob said, and that is we took an inspired design from Nathan, and we created a brilliantly engineered scooter. This is a scooter engineered by real engineers, and so it's a radically different vehicle from the status quo, and everybody on this call has worked on that tirelessly, and I think the result shows it. That's my view of it.
I want to thank everybody for coming out and joining us. Obviously, there has been a lot of press that has surrounded the Stator, and if you have been affected by the scams that have been out there, please know the only place that you can pre-order a Stator is at www.stator.com. On that website, we also have a contact us link. That form goes directly to me. So when I reply and you see, please excuse my spelling mistakes because I'm sending it from my iPhone, I am absolutely answering you from my iPhone. And a lot of times, if I have the answer, you'll get an answer very quickly. If I don't have the answer, I'm going to consult with our team and get you an answer as fast as I possibly can. If you have any questions that have not yet been answered here, they may already been answered on stator.com. You can pre-order your Stator today at $250 for a deposit. And we are still accepting those pre-orders for the launch edition. For any other questions, please reach out to us at any time. We really, really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I can't believe how many questions were out there today. And I hope that we can do this again somewhere in the near future because you guys have so many more questions that I think we can definitely answer for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, we hope to talk to you guys again soon. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.